I'm just going to say, Rebecca, that the town board came back from executive session at 7:00 PM.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And you needed the resolution about us going into executive session. So
I
you
got
can pass
that
it out.
copy
You
and I
got
gave it back to you.
You
Thank
got
you.
it? Oh, okay, you're faster than I realized. Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay. Then we begin with our regular agenda. Oh, whoop, we need board member Reuter to start with. Number one.
Do you want to open it up first, or you?
Oh, I'm
just
sorry,
do
we have to do that's right, we didn't do that before.
Unless
My
you want to do the
apologies.
public
So
hearing and then
yes.
open it up.
Yep. I move that, first of all, that we open the floor to public comment on items that are on the agenda tonight. So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll open the floor to public comment on items that are on the agenda for tonight. Is there anyone who would like to speak? First of all, is there anyone here in the room who would like to speak? We'll start with that.
Come on
Steve?
up.
Come on up, sir.
Come on up. That way we can get your,
Hi, everybody.
hi,
How's
how
it
are you?
going? Steve Englehart, 224 Manchester Road. Let's see, I brought the wrong glasses, so bear with me. The battery storage building or whatever they're gonna be building right across from my house, supposedly, if you guys pass it.
So what's, just to be clear, what's on the agenda for tonight is a moratorium, a 6-month moratorium on the allowing of those kinds of facilities.
Okay, so if I don't have to say anything, I'll go sit back down.
That's okay, just so you know what you're commenting on, that's what we're voting on tonight.
You can state your
You-
displeasure
but-
with
yeah.
it going in across the street from your house.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, the bird sanctuary that's gonna be butting right up against this building. I believe there should be an environmental, what's it called? Environmental study done before anything gets approved. Basically, that's all I got to say for now.
okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve. Thanks. Is there anybody else who wants to speak, who's in the room? Yes.
Hi, yes, just a quick comment on the town code amendment for chapter 210 relating to animal services. I just want to thank everybody for just allowing this to go forward, or hopefully go forward. We think it's a great addition to bring business and jobs to Poughkeepsie, and great for additional animal services. So thank you so much for that. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Doreen?
Okay, thank you. I have a question about number 19, the agreement with the environmental group. So I believe it says in there that it did not go out for an RFP. And I know that if it's professional service, you do not have to go out for an RFP, but as I've said in the past, I would encourage the town board to use the RFP process more, because if you don't go out in search of proposals, then there's really no way of knowing whether or not you're getting, the best, basically the best deal. So I've seen on several other contracts that because they're professional services, no RFPs were to be submitted. So I would like to see more RFPs used. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will say about this particular contract that at our next meeting on February 14th, the Conservation Advisory Committee is going to be reporting on all their work, and the flood study goes underneath that category. So we will be having further conversation at the workshop meeting about this specific contract. And I believe Mike Welty, as well as the CAC members, could speak more to the specifics of this one. But I take the larger point here about using RFPs. Thanks. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Jim would like to say something.
Yes.
I don't have the documents in front of me, and I might stand to be corrected, but I think that Mr. Welty, although maybe it was not a formal RFP process, I think he did some form of canvas of the market for those services. And this was for the flood study down in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
I
saw-
thought,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I did speak with Mike about this as well, and he is
Then I would turn to a regular session.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move back to our regular agenda then.
Okay, resolution one,
Actually, I think we're gonna open the public hearing number 1 for public comment, if there
right,
is any.
I was gonna introduce
Okay,
that, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we can do that without a motion.
That's correct.
Okay,
Sorry, all right, so we're, yes, that's
I just
right.
want to give a little background. At the 12/20/23 meeting, the town board received a recommendation from Code Update Committee that a local law amending Chapter 210 entitled zoning to include amendments to related animal services should be considered. So the town board thereby set a public hearing on the proposal for the local law February 7th, 2024. That's tonight. Just a little bit more in detail. The amendment is Article 3 zoning law entitled Supplementary Regulations, 221053, Animal Services, to amend the following, that in Section B, SC, District BSC, and District BH, kennel shall be permitted only in a standalone building that is either a single-use building dedicated to the kennel or one that contains only other animal services uses. So for people's edification, BSC, shopping center businesses in the first ward, essentially between Old Post and Road and Vassar Road, west side of Route 9. And BH is in the fifth ward, crosses over Route 9, essentially between Sunset Avenue and Southgate. So with that, we open for public comment on this issue.
All right, is there anyone who wants to comment in the public hearing about the amendment to the Town Code, Chapter 210, related to animal services? All right, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Are you closing the public hearing or adjourning the public hearing?
On this matter.
We're adjourning this, aren't we?
Well,
We are adjourning the public hearing?
It was a public comment and adjourned.
we still have to hear, it went out to a number
I
of
think it has
different
to be,
agencies.
I think that we're still waiting for comment from the planning board
Okay.
Planning.
on
economic
this, so we're
development.
adjourning it until the February 21st meeting, if
Yeah,
my recollection
We're
exists.
we're not ready
Mine-
to vote on it yet.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I thought the planning board had already seen it. All right.
Yeah,
then
when
we
was
are
the
adjourning.
adjournment announced?
Well, let me move again to adjourn this. So let me make a
No,
mo-
not today. This was
withdraw
on
the
the
former
packet Friday.
motion, but move
From
to,
Friday, it was been adjourned since Friday.
Well,
move
not,
to,
a-
Do
sorry.
you want to leave it, adjourn it, leave it, close public hearing to February 21st?
okay.
Adjourn it till February 21st.
We're adjourning the public hearing until February 21st.
And a
So
second?
moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned to February 21st for the public hearing.
Sorry, I forgot that. That's why I asked, because
All right,
Well, that's fine.
and now this
But we
is a
don't know why the
motion.
public hearing's being, like, what the
Well,
issue is.
Well, I think the issue is we need to hear back from the planning, we need to hear back from the other agencies.
The planning board needs to
because
weigh
it's a
in.
zoning issue, we had to hear
Zoning.
from the county and we have to hear from the planning board. And the planning board meeting is the 15th, or soon, very soon. And so we didn't get a chance to comment. They missed it at the January, for some reason.
Okay, so
Planning-
that's what happened.
That's what
Yeah,
happened. They missed it
Okay.
at the planning board meeting. I'm not sure what happened. and
Right,
So we
okay.
we weren't able to
Okay.
get their comment.
Got it.
So it'll be at the February 21st meeting.
Okay. Thank you very
No-
much.
No problem.
All right.
So we're doing,
And now we can move on and we can set a
Resolution two.
date for a public hearing. This is an actual resolution.
So today's resolution 2 is about the large-scale battery energy storage system installations. The town of Poughkeepsie zoning code does not currently provide specific regulations for said large-scale battery energy storage system installations. And whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie may receive applications for such facilities, again, I get all the whereases. So they have the potential, these large-scale battery energy storage system installations have the potential to create risks to public health and safety and adverse impacts on environmental resources and neighborhood character, which potential impacts and changes need to be better understood. And whereas to enable the town board to analyze the potential for those impacts and changes and their severity, and to determine whether legislative action is required, it is necessary to preserve the status quo as to the approval and development of large-scale battery energy storage system installations. So we would like to impose a temporary moratorium on the acceptance and processing of applications for the consideration and approval by the town planning board of site plans and special use permits for large-scale battery energy storage system installations. We would like to put a moratorium on the issuance of building permits, therefore, and the consideration, approval, and issuance by the Zoning Board of Appeals of variances and interpretations relating to large-scale battery energy storage system installations for a period of 6 months, subject to certain exceptions and subject to extension. And whereas the town board determines the proposed action is a type 2 action not subject to environmental review pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5, now therefore, be it resolved that the recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. So we hereby set the 6th day of March 2024 at 7 p.m. at the town hall here at 1 Overrocker Road as the time, date, and place of a public hearing at which all parties in interest and citizens may be heard as to whether or not the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie should adopt the proposed local law annexed hereto imposing a temporary townwide moratorium as described therein for a period of 6 months, subject to extension by this town board. Keep going?
That's good.
I think that's
That's good. That gives it, that's clear.
So we've set that date, March 6th. So moved.
Second.
All right. Discussion?
Well,
Yeah.
there may have been some, so it's not the storage of batteries, it's these big installation that come in and create, energy by these big battery storage, large battery storage facilities. It's a big installation, so some may have misinterpreted it to be storage of batteries. It's not just that, so.
Well, it actually is the storage
Well,
of.
it's.
No, I want to explain what, I mean, it is.
It
but-
is.
But it has a certain kilowatt usage. So let me explain in section 3 of definitions of this giant packet. A large-scale battery energy storage system installation is any installation of a rechargeable energy storage system having an aggregate energy capacity of 600 kilowatts or more, consisting of electrochemical storage batteries or similar technology, battery charges, controls, power condition systems, inverters, which is very popular with solar panels, right? Transformers, switchgears, and/or associated electrical equipment designed to store electrical power received from a generating or transmission source and periodically discharge that power from the battery energy storage system into the power grid. Systems, so here's what doesn't count. Systems typically used to provide standby or emergency power and/or an uninterruptible power supply, load shedding, load sharing, or similar capabilities relating to the energy consumed by a residence, a farm operation, or business on site, and having an aggregate energy capacity of less than 600 kilowatts shall not be considered a large-scale battery energy storage system installation for purposes of the moratorium. That means, I believe, if you have a Tesla battery pack in your garage to power your electric car, I think that doesn't count if it's less than 600 kilowatts.
Yeah, that's right.
And it is not storing used car batteries. That is not what we're talking about, I think.
Well,
That's right.
yeah, the ones that came in, they're actually gonna be off of 55 across from Steve's house.
It's actually banks of lithium batteries, and their plan is to buy electricity from, they're next to the power station, the transfer station there. So they're gonna download energy when it's less expensive, and then when there's high energy, when it's more expensive, they're gonna sell it back at a lower rate in to supposedly save us money through Central Hudson. So I hope it's a scheme that actually works and does generate some funds for them, but
Is there dangers involved with it possibly?
what?
Is there dangers involved with it possibly?
So this is a new area of.
That's what you're gonna
of
look at-
Renewable
into.
energy. The state is, promoting this as a possibility because it does help store energy at high usage times, so it's available at high usage times. But there have been fires, there have been some concerns. And so we're not saying we're never gonna do this, but the goal of the moratorium is to give the zoning revision committee, which has already started work on this, a chance to do some research, to look at what recent safety issues have arisen, to look at what other municipalities are doing, and to make sure that we have our code in place that we feel comfortable with, that is going to be safe, and make sure that if we have these, if we do allow these, that we've taken into consideration possible toxins, both air pollution and water impacts on the water, and we also need to make sure fire departments have had some concerns about this. We want to make sure that our fire chiefs and our fire departments understand how they operate, and if we're going to have one, how to respond if there is a fire. And so there's a range of things to consider. So we're taking 6 months here, extendable if needed, until we're sure that we have fully researched the safety issues involved, and then we'll come back and reconsider.
Well, I'd like just to bring up Mr. Englehart's mention. He said it's the place that they might be considering is next to the bird sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it says here that it's a type 2 action not subject to environmental review. We might maybe perhaps find out based on the toxins. Would it be acceptable for
Nelson?
environmental review?
Apropos of that, Ms. Svensson is here, who's the lawyer who's working up this stay or moratorium. And I don't know if you want her to comment on the fact that the moratorium, the stay doesn't require seeker, but as you move forward.
I understand. Okay, I'd love to hear from you, yes.
Sure.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Hi, yeah, just exactly what Mr. Nelson said. It's the moratorium that's not subject to seeker because you're just putting a pause on something, so there's no impact from that. But the actual construction of these facilities would be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself while you're there?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Okay,
Emily
great.
Svensson, going to be a new attorney to the town.
Hello.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your help with this.
Yeah, I would be much more enthusiastic about these battery storage too if they were linked to a solar farm,
No, I would-
where we were generating solar energy and storing up so it could be used during the night.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity, maybe at a future workshop meeting when the zoning review committee has had a chance to learn more. I know that Lisa Cobb and some of the folks in that group, Mike Welty, are looking into it, and it seems like a good subject for further conversation, both here and also potentially at the planning board as well.
I would be
So-
myself worried, just if I could say something about it, being next to a bird sanctuary. Because having an animal that has cancer, I mean, I've researched a lot into it, and so years ago, it was like 1 in 100 animals, dogs in particular, that get cancer, and now it's like 1 in 3. So why? A lot of it has to do with different things, and so, it should be researched.
We need to understand
Yeah.
it fully.
Yeah.
It's also near a waterway, right? So water safety, and it's near a residential area, and so air quality. If we just need to make sure that these are safe,
Right.
or if they're not, figure out how we want to respond. Okay. Any further discussion?
Good.
Are we ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor of the moratorium? Any
Actually, this is setting the date for the moratorium.
Setting the date for the public hearing, you are correct. Setting the date for the public hearing, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with appreciation a donation of $2,000 from the Poughkeepsie Rural Cemetery, and be it further resolved that said donation, which was made to our police department in appreciation of its responsiveness, will be used towards the purchase of equipment for the town of Poughkeepsie Police Department unmanned aerial system program. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? just a thank you to the Poughkeepsie Rural Cemetery for the gift, which we'll put to good use, and I'm sure the police department will be able to use it, and commend the police department on the responsiveness that inspired the gift. So, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, number 4 is be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the supervisor to sign the 2024 Stop DUI Program Agreement with the County of Dutchess, a copy of which is attached, which is with multiple agencies in New York, in Dutchess County to stop DUIs. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
All right, resolution number 5, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby ratify the supervisor's execution of an agreement with the County of Dutchess, the towns of Hyde Park, Fishkill, and East Fishkill, and the cities of Beacon and Poughkeepsie to provide for the county's continued funding through the Municipal Innovation Grant Program of the Drug Enforcement Task Force, CA file number 18826, a copy of which is annexed. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? This has been a really wonderful initiative that's brought departments together to work across municipal lines in new and innovative ways. So it's great to carry it forward.
Great program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, Resolution 6, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign an extension and amendment agreement with Dutchess County relating to grant monies for the Veterans Micro Grant Program, which said grant monies are in the amount of $12,500 to be used for placing new banners for each of the branches of service at the Dutchess County War Memorial and display hometown hero banners in town. So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
It's a really good program, and we're fortunate enough to have one of our hometown heroes sitting in the stands right there. Jim has one up on College Avenue.
Wonderful. I want to say thank you to Joyce Longi in the supervisor's office, who's played a central role in the Hometown Heroes Banners program and has really taken leadership on that. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 7-0. All right, Resolution 7. Be it resolved that the Town Board does hereby appoint Eileen Black to the position of part-time recreation assistant for the senior center. The established rate of $20 per hour effective for her first day will be February 12th. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? I had the pleasure of meeting her. She began by doing volunteer work with watercolors and art at the senior center, and she has some really exciting ideas for different kinds of programming to bring to the senior center. So I'm really excited that that the recreation department has found her and that she's able to begin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, Resolution 8, be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of Hudson Valley Pickleball and Golf Center, 1875-1895 South Road, Poughkeepsie, waiver for 30-day review of a liquor license, and be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, 8B, be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie hereby acknowledge receipt on behalf of Louis Rossi, 1126 Dutchess Turnpike, Poughkeepsie, for 30-day waiver of a period of a liquor license, and be it further resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
This is Resolution 9. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby ratify the supervisor's execution of the annexed Employee Assistance Program, EAP, between the Town of Poughkeepsie and Employee Services, LLC, for the term from February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025, a copy which is attached. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this the same company we've had?
I believe it is, yes. Yep,
Thanks.
just continues, yep.
Just to add that, I think that per employee, this is for the services offered, this is a very reasonable charge. EAP programs is probably utilized, 3 to 5% by employees on an average, but it's that one call that
Yeah.
we get where we can save a life. It's that one call where we can save a family, so
It
It's
seems like it
well-
has a lot to offer, actually.
it's actually well worth it, and the services are very, very robust for that amount of money, so.
A very important form of support, so,
Right.
for employees. Wonderful. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of John J. Baisley from the Joint City Town Water Board, effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? So Mr. Baisley is remaining on the Tri-Muni Sewer, but is asked to step down from the JWB, so thank him very much for his service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Number 11 is be it resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Ann Shershin from the Bureau of Fire Prevention effective January 30th. So moved.
Second? Any discussion?
She did a good job.
Well, I'm disappointed because I liked serving on boards with Ann, so I had a wonderful one last
We're-
night.
we're
So
on enough
I'd like
committees.
to oppose it, but,
We're shuffling everybody around and getting
All right.
everybody in their new spots. And so where everybody feels like they can do the best and most effective work. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Resolution 12, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Stephen Engelhardt to the Conservation Advisory Commission, with which appointment is for a 2-year term, which terms will run from January 2024 through December 31st, 2025. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you for
Welcome,
volunteering.
Steve.
Yes, thanks for volunteering, very much.
It's
All
a
right.
lot, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Thank you. And you're already at work tonight, so thank you.
And anyone else is welcome to attend the CAC meetings. So
Great.
come on out.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Resolution 13, whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby rescind, thank you. Resolution 117, number 1 from 2024, now therefore, be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reappoint Susan Carls Hecht to the chair position of the town of Poughkeepsie Climate Smart Task Force, and be further resolved, the town board does hereby reappoint Thomas Leach, Feza Oteg, Joan Freeman, Richard Klein, and Kristen Taylor, liaison, on the Climate Smart Task Force, which appointments will expire on January 17th, 2026, and be further resolved, the town board does hereby appoint Barbara Laird, liaison, and Mark Murray on the Climate Smart Task Force, which appointments will expire on January 17th, 2026. So moved.
Second. All right, we need to get all the members here. We thought there were some terms that did not expire, but we have all the members on here
Yep.
now, so.
Everything's
All right.
good.
And thank you again, everyone on the Climate Smart Task Force for their service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. All right, Resolution 14. Be it resolved that the town of Poughkeepsie hereby appoints Bill Reuter and Michael Safone to the Bureau of Fire Prevention for the town of Poughkeepsie for a term through December 31st, 2025. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have your oaths ready for after the meeting, gentlemen.
Okay. Oh, she's got your oaths ready.
We
All
got,
right.
okay, we have to do, okay.
You're gonna do an
Well,
oath.
with Mike's a pleasure, so thank you.
All right, great. Thank you both very much for your service, all right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, 15, be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby award the following bids opened on January 29th.
These are gonna be
This is gonna be tabled, I believe. We have
You-
some,
you-
we still have
this is
some things
correct.
to look at.
That's right. I'm sorry, we need to table this motion, and that was not on our agenda. We need to just, we're not quite ready. We need to review the bids again and make sure we've done all our
Okay.
homework right, so we're going to withdraw this
Fair
one.
enough.
We're gonna table it, until the next meeting, all right? Thanks. Thank you for catching that.
No problem, sorry about that.
No worries.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, it was on the agenda, I posted online, and I think there might be a new agenda laying around there somewhere, but
Want me to
Yep,
skip it
we
or
get swamped
It's all
with
good.
paper, so.
At the end of the
I think we
day,
had the old one and
it's
not
all
the new
good.
one.
Either, they're both.
All right, great.
Should I do 16?
We will,
Yeah, good.
we will mow, we will return to
Yes.
this, and we will
So
mow.
did we make a motion to table? I just missed that a
We
little
need
bit.
to
Yeah, we
move to table this amendment,
Do we have a date?
this resolution.
And then a second?
Second.
All
Do we
those
have
in
a- we have a date?
All those in, would be for, table it
To be determined,
to be determined, but
Determined? Okay,
probably next meeting.
at probably 2/21, so.
okay.
We
Fair
could
enough.
make a motion to table it till 2/21, February
enough.
21,
Fair enough.
okay.
A second?
Is there a second?
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Those opposed? Okay, I move to table. All right,
Go ahead.
I think I skipped.
Want to do 16?
resolution 16 would be
16.
next.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the minutes for the following 2024 town board meetings, which would be January 17th. It was a workshop, regular town board meeting. So moved.
Second, any discussion? Any corrections to the minutes? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And thank you very much, Felicia, for the minutes.
You're welcome.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to amend the January 10th, 2024 letter of agreement with Jessica Servideo for accounting consulting services, resolution 117, number 10 of 2024, to allow for up to 10 additional hours of service at $200 per hour. So moved.
Second.
For discussion, I would like to make an amendment. I would like to move to amend this for an additional 20 hours, if there's a second to that amendment.
Second that.
Okay. To discuss that amendment, thank you. We do have a new comptroller. Today was her 5th day on the job. She's amazing, Minal Patel. She is working with the former comptroller to get up to speed, but we are rebuilding the finance department, and we would like to have some additional hours with the former comptroller that we could bank for the period when the audit is being done. This is a very fruitful partnership, so I think we need a little bit more time with the former comptroller to make sure that we've got everything up and running. So we need to vote first on the amendment. Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to remain consistent with this. I feel that, I know we had some discussions last meeting, and I know that there was a situation here that avoidable or not, but I still believe the rate's really exorbitant for a town of $200 an hour. My opinion is, knowing the little that I know about comptroller, that it's gonna keep going. And it's evidenced by the fact is it started at 15, then 10, now 20. We have a great person that we've hired. And I appreciate all her work and effort, but I think this is gonna need to continue unless we come up with a different training plan, so I will oppose it.
Okay.
Both measures.
I will
Thank
just
you.
say that the goal here is not to try to bring this back again, hopefully, because this gives us enough hours that we can bank through the audit period, and I think that the new comptroller will be up to speed pretty quickly here. We also have training in place from Tyler, which is the organization that provides software, and through GFOA and through the state controller's office, as well as our auditor, RBT. So we've got a range of different things that, in fact, the comptroller and I also went to the county training today on civil service. We did Civil Service 101 today. So we're availing ourselves of all other forms of free support. There are some things that only the former comptroller knows and or can really help with in terms of the auditors need X and where is it? And so I think we need this, but we will try very hard not to come back again. And the point of the amendment here is to try to get us to a point where we're finishing this out and for the new controller to have what she needs. So, but
I
all right.
just want to say it says up to.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you
Up
have to
to an
use it.
additional 20 hours.
Yep.
hopefully we can be, resourceful and use less than that.
We'll do our best. Anybody else wanted to speak to the amendment? All right. A vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, so the amendment passes 6-1. And now for the resolution as a whole. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
1, so 6-1. The resolution carries.
Okay, this is me.
That's, I think, yes, you're next.
This is support for New York State Assembly to Senate to pass a strong packing reduction and recycling infrastructure act and expand the state's bottle bill. So whereas packing makes up approximately 40% of waste in New York State, and whereas managing packaging waste costs New York taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars annually, and whereas some packaging is not recyclable, reusable, refilling packaging systems and not readily available, this packaging is, we're actually asking the state to pass a certain bill, the Recycling Infrastructure Act of A5322-A/S4246-A. So this is just a support letter to Governor Hochul, so.
And a few other entities, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So moved.
Second. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to this?
Yes, I would, unless somebody else would.
Well, this was brought to my attention at the CAC, so, it's, a bill that has been proposed, and other municipalities in the area are voicing their support for it. So it was just our way, the town's way of saying we support it too. So it's a lot of words for a very simple request.
Bill, did you also want to speak?
Yes, thank you. I took the time, I went through, and I know this is in, committee in the assembly, and they haven't really actually looked at it yet, but I did take the time to read both of these bills and what I could see of 23 pages each. And it really wasn't a good read, okay? Because when I looked at it, in my opinion, it's an incremental cost that's really gonna be passed on to the consumer of what's happening. So where they're talking about increased New York State infrastructure, taxes, increased company requirements to prepare for New York State audits. And I think this is gonna pass along to the consumer, cost and taxes, all right? So I did some checking with a few of our distributors in town, and so one, I'll pick on Dutchess Beer. So in looking at their numbers, they really they have a return rate of 85 to 90%, which currently they do. There's a whole mechanics that's going on with this 5% thing, which is kind of interesting in that we see it as a 5 cent, 5%. We see it as 5 cents when we return a bottle or can. One of the things in this measure is that they want to increase the deposit rate. So behind that 5%.
Bill, I don't mean to be a pain, but could you lean a little closer to your mic?
Yeah, I know, Rebecca and I were talking about this.
So much better. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. So behind this 5% is another 3.5% that the distributors will have to pay. So the distributors.
5 cents or 5% or 5 cents?
3.5 cents.
3.5
Sorry.
cents,
I
yep.
always talk in percents, I'm
Yep.
sorry, so thank you. So when you increase the deposit cost of 5 cents to say 10 cents, that's an incremental increase that's gonna happen. So in other words, Dutchess Beer, as an example, charges an extra 84 cents a case because they're paying 3%. So when you buy the bottle of beer, you pay 5 cents. You return it at, say, ShopRite. Dutchess Beer has to pay, they look at it, say Budweiser bottle, and it's 3.5 cents that Dutchess Beer has to pay. So this proposal says, let's raise it to, so much, say 10 or 20% or whatever it
10
says.
cents.
So now that incremental cost is gonna go up to 6.5 cents. So it's just gonna be passed on to the consumer. So the other thing I looked at with this is that, maybe I'm spending too much time on this, I don't know, but there's a lot of distributors who, which I was kind of surprised to see this, they're returning 110, 140% of the bottles than they sell. So where are these extra bottles coming from? They're coming from New Jersey, they're coming from Pennsylvania, where they don't have a deposit. So I just think that with all due respect, I know This was brought up in good faith. However, it's going to be another big program with a lot of extra people added. And I think I'd like to write to if I'm going to write to the state on anything, I'm going to write to them about how they can reduce our taxes and make government more efficient, not increase our taxes. So I would vote no on this letter. Thank you.
So are there others who want to speak? This is a memorializing letter, as we said, you know, it's
Yes, I understand.
being sent to the state officials. Anybody else?
I'd like to speak to it. I teach environmental science in Newburgh, and part of this is talking about packaging reduction.
Right.
So maybe not focusing on the increase in cost in bottles, but maybe the reduction in bottles. And we've just seen multiple current news events from New York Times, Wall Street Journal, talking about the nanoplastics, the microplastics that are in our water bottles that we've been sold down the river. Like here, buy an expensive plastic water bottle with free water in it. You should drink my water. It costs $1.40. With my students, I looked at the cost of one bottle of water at $1.10 for an 8-ounce or 12-ounce bottle of water. If you turn that into a gallon of water, so you took that price in the small little bottle and turned it into a gallon, I think up on the poster in my room, it's $14 maybe? I mean, we can do the math, but we don't have time right now. Could have been $14, $20 for a gallon of water at that rate, at that price. And now you think that the plastic inside the bottle is sloughing off. It's coming into your bloodstream. And we probably all have nanoparticles of plastic in our bloodstream.
Yeah.
Personally, I was in the 1980s. I ran around with NIPERG as a college student and helped pass the bottle bill. I'm kind of sad I did, because I just prefer to put it right back into my recycling instead of going to another place to get the 5 cents back.
Yeah.
But either way, you want to recycle it somehow. That's an incentive. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What I'm really interested in is reducing the amount of plastic in our waterways, in our bloodstream, in our oceans. So that's why I support the bill.
Thank you. I'll just add that I'm excited by the conversation, and this is a good chance to advertise the fact that our workshop meeting next week on February 14th, for those of you who would like to spend Valentine's Day here, we are going to be having reports from the Conservation Advisory Committee and from the Climate Smart Task Force, and each of them is going to walk us through the kinds of things they've been working on lately, the proposals they may be bringing down the line, and there's a possibility to talk about a number of related issues here. I've had conversations, I know legislator Lisa Call is here, I've had conversations with her about waste management. I think many of us know that our recycling system is not working well, that it's essentially broken, and that we need to come up with some other ways to think about recycling, and I appreciate the aspect of these state bills which are focusing on product stewardship, which is a really important piece. And I think we should recognize that when communities get left with a lot of packaging, whether it's plastic or whether it's cardboard or whatever else, whether it's broken glass, that costs us. It costs our communities. So there's a set of really complicated issues here, and if there was a simple answer to waste management, we would have found it. But I think that there's a number of things to discuss here, and I'm really glad that the state is moving forward and thinking if there are ways to modernize the bottle bill. One of the things I learned when I toured the recycling facility in Beacon, which surprised me, is that I always thought glass was better than plastic, but actually glass breaks, and there's a ton of little shards of glass on the floor of the recycling center, and it's not, it's virtually impossible to resell or use. So here I was, faithfully trying to use glass instead of plastic, and then I go to the recycling center and they go, actually, the glass is really not very helpful either. So there's a set of stuff to deal with that I think are, so I appreciate this, I support it. I also think it's part of a much, much broader conversation about array of issues with waste management. So that was a lengthy discussion. Anybody else want to add to that?
No, good discussion.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Nay? Okay, so we have 5-2. The vote was, the resolution was 5-2. And I think that Brian was number 19, right? You're next.
Resolution 19, be it resolved that the town board finds that it would be in the best interest of the town and does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement between the town of Poughkeepsie and Boomi Environmental LLC to provide professional services relating to the new Hamburg flood study without the solicitation of additional proposals pursuant to Town Procurement Policy Article 3C, which agreement will be in effect once executed by both parties in substantially the form as presented. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yep. After some of these.
Anybody else? All right, Bill?
Yeah, so, I do agree with Doreen on, I have to lean over now, that's right.
Thank you so much.
I do agree with, Doreen on the, competitive bidding, but the one thing I just wanted to ask is, what would this contract cost? Because it seems that Schedule B and C are missing. Or Exhibit C, B and C. I don't have, do I have it in my?
I think it's up to 7K our cost and then what the grant is.
Yeah.
But we didn't get C in our packet. And it says the actual
Yeah.
costs are in the C. I did talk to Mike Welty about it though, but
So it would be good to know what the amounts are.
I did forget
which
what the
think is a
grant
fair
cost was though.
Yeah.
fair
Yeah.
question, but I think it's a worthwhile project. They've always had issues there. And if, it is kind of urgent in the first ward, I think. So if we feel that, as a body, that this would be something we wouldn't want to send to competitive bid, we can do that once we can, and we can get the cost later on that if we want to.
I don't know, Ann, I seem to recall that they did put out, a request for proposals, and they only received 2, and this was the really good one.
Good.
And that the other one was just way out, and this was a really good one, and they've done similar to this before, so it's really not necessary to look any further.
This
And
was-
it is good, it is good to be covered by the grant.
When Doreen spoke, I wondered about that, because it was last
Yeah.
fall. I'm pretty sure they did do an RFP,
Yes, they
but
did.
we don't have anybody here who can
Yeah.
completely confirm that. But I'm pretty sure it did go out to RFP, and I
Yeah.
know they're excited about this
Yeah, and
proposal,
that,
so.
they mentioned that they just got 2
Yeah.
responses back, and this was a really good response.
And I believe it is 7K, so we just have a missing page here.
Yeah,
I don't know where I
Yep.
got it from.
yeah.
Okay. If people are comfortable with that, then.
This is Kristen Taylor.
Oh.
I just wanted to confirm that we did put out an RFP. So we did receive, that was correct, we did receive only 2 proposals,
Right.
and Boomi was the choice. I guess the steering committee, unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but they actually met down in New Hamburg and met with the consultants in person and got a chance to actually walk some of the property that they'd be looking at in the future. The details of the actual grant and match or anything like that, I wouldn't be able to speak to that readily. I don't have any of that information right in front of me, but also Mike did do some due diligence in the sense that he reached out to some of their prior
Clients.
yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
And, so they had a conversation and checked their references and everything kind of lined up, so.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Kristen.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't realize you were here. I appreciate it very much.
No problem.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. The resolution carries 7-0.
Okay, this is Resolution 20A, and this is about a tax surcharge settlement with Macy's Retail Holdings, and for the tax rolls of 2024, 2025, tax rolls assessments as shown, and this is to allow for the supervisor or her designee, town assessor Jennifer Monk, Kyle Barnett of Vanderwater to sign such papers necessary to effectuate the said settlement. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There's been some discussion at a prior board meeting about the tax certs, and I just wanted to say that I've been in conversation with the assessor, Jennifer Mund, and with several other employees to try to get a broader sense of how frequently the town settles and what the impact is, and I want to come back with a report. Any further discussion?
There should have been an amended attachment on your
Yeah.
desk when you got here, so
Yes, there
just so
is.
you know.
Yep.
We got that.
It
We
says-
have it.
There you go.
It took me, 10 minutes to figure it out when I was looking at it at home.
I don't know.
All right,
I
Thank you for that.
don't want to say.
that's
anything.
amended. All right,
Very good.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 7-0. And were you gonna do 20B, or you want me to do
I
that?
can do 20B, because it's also another tax surcharge proceedings settlement instituted by Westchester County Healthcare, Poughkeepsie One Med, MB Real Estate, yes, owner of the property located in the town of Poughkeepsie. And this is for the 2023 tax rolls. And again, it's to allow the supervisor, or her designee, town assessor Jennifer Munn, or Kyle Barnett of Vanderwaar to sign the papers necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution carries 7-0. All right, Resolution 21. The Poughkeepsie's townwide water improvement area encompasses the town outside of the village of Wappingers Falls, and the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority has requested that the town grant it the authority to extend a water main, a town water main, and install an additional hydrant, booster, electrical connections, pressure transducer, and other improvements within the town's Peach Road right-of-way. With the intent to further continue that this line will go to the town of Hyde Park to serve the Dutchess County Board of Cooperative Education Services, BOCES. So this is attempting to get water supply to the new BOCES. And be it resolved that pursuant to New York law, the town authorizes that line extension and improvements within the town's Peach Road right-of-way. And those extension and improvements will be owned by the the County Wastewater Authority as detailed in Exhibit A. And that we believe that this is for the purpose of prompting the health, safety, and general welfare of the community, particularly since the water line is going to serve BOCES. And that the supervisor and her designees are authorized to execute all documents necessary to effect this consent. And we resolved that no seeker review is required for this project because the expansion of the BOCES facility and the county's creation of Water District Zone of Assessment Z to serve that facility have already been the subject of a complete seeker review. So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Madam Supervisor?
No,
Yes.
Could I suggest a small amendment at the beginning of the third paragraph? In speaking with one of the attorneys, Jim Horan, who's involved with the Joint Water Board, he suggested that this would also be supported by County Law Section 263 and Public Authorities Law Section 1142.
All right, this is in the third paragraph, which is the first be it resolved.
Yep.
And this is
Not
that,
yet. Pursuant to New York Town Law 198.3, comma, County Law 263, and Public Authorities Law 1142, water districts. Pardon me, no, actually, the County Law 263 would come after water districts, little a.
all right, so New York Town Law 198.3, Public Authority Water District Law 1142, and Dutchess County Law 263 would be, so there's multiple sources of authority here. Do we need a vote on that amendment? I think that's,
On the amendment, yeah, we can vote on the amendment to add it.
okay, let's vote on an amendment to add those additional specifications. So I move that we accept the amendment.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we've amended it to clarify that there is multiple sources of authority pursuant to law. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion,
No,
Good?
I said
aye, okay, all right, just making sure. The motion carries 7-0. All right. Now, that's not quite the end of our agenda. We have 2 items for special consent. And the way this works is that I move that the board adopt these 2 items, which are by special consent, which means that they are new to the agenda, they weren't posted last Friday, and that we need at least 5 of 7 board members to agree to do that. If a board member wishes to split that, because there's 2 motions, and say, yes, I agree to put one of them on and not the other, you can, but otherwise we can take them as a body. So my motion is that we take up the two special consent resolutions for tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I had thought there was going to be three, so.
There's only two.
There's only two.
There's only two, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Right, there were three listed, but the third one became moot based on the.
Oh, gotcha.
Based on our
Right,
discussion.
okay.
Okay, that's all, I just, because
Exactly.
I did
Yep.
post that there were three, so I just wanted to clarify that out in the public.
Yep,
One
so
of
there's
the
two.
three, so-
And who
Thank you.
seconded that motion? To,
I'll second.
okay, thanks, Mike.
Right. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so then, the first of these motions is the one about an appointment of accounts payable clerk, who has just accepted the job. We're very excited to have her here as we begin to rebuild the finance department. And the resolution is, be it resolved that the town board hereby appoints Raquel Escobar to the position of part-time accounts payable clerk with the finance department at a salary of $21.24 per hour for up to 20 hours a week, effective Monday, February 12th, 2024, with a probationary period of no less than 8 and no more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. Now, we have one more special consent item, and Mr. Nelson is going to read that for us.
Bear with me. Whereas the PBA on December 26, 23, filed a grievance seeking retroactive wages and benefits for 2 former employees, which grievance was denied by Chief Joseph Cavalier at step 1 on January 22nd, 2024. And this town board does determine to affirm his denial as step 3 of the grievance process.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 7-0. Now, I believe that we would open the floor now for comment from members of the public on any item that you wish to speak about, anything that you'd like to bring before the board. We'll begin with people who are in the room again, and then we'll move to the folks who are on Zoom. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak? Yes, come forward.
Good evening, young Bora. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was, or still am, the former owner of the property at 2186 New Hackensack Road, and is Paula's Public House, currently not open. The reason I'm here tonight, and I actually just found out about the meeting today, is because I am debating whether to reopen the Public House or sell the property. And I have had several people that have been interested in having different iterations of the building. Most recently, an attorney who has come to me and said he'd like to purchase it and put a law office in there. And when I spoke to the zoning board today, I was told that a law office would not fit because it is grandfathered special use. And so I drove around and I saw that there were other law offices in neighborhoods right along the street. So that didn't make sense to me. And then I had another young person come to me and say they wanted to put a dog facility there where she would train dogs. And I drove around and I saw that there were others. And then, of course, I could always put another restaurant. Now, the reason that I'm not open any longer is there were discussions that when we went from a tavern to a restaurant, my use changed, and thereby the Board of Health had to be involved, and I couldn't use the garden space. And I suggested many times, how about a fancy porta potty hidden in the back? That was all denied. And I'm not the spring chicken I used to be, so running 2 restaurants was tough, so I decided to close this one until perhaps some of that could be resolved. So, if I can't open it, again, because I can't use the garden, and I can't really sustain enough income just from the 76 seats on the inside, and I'm required to sell it. But no one else wants to buy a restaurant for the same reasons that I can't reopen it, and then I can't sell it to an attorney who wants to buy it because I can't make it into a law office, and I can't sell it to the dog trainer or the veterinarian that wants to open it because I can't make it into a vet's office, even though that use is everywhere else in communities along New Hackensack Road, in neighborhoods. I'm confused. So, the building has been there forever, as Ann knows. It's been in business forever. They built a neighborhood around an existing tavern restaurant. So I really think that all of those houses should be the ones that are non-conforming. And perhaps I could be given some sort of a spot zoning so that I can either reopen as a proper pub or sell it to someone who wants to put a business. I had one neighbor that complained. My former owner of the restaurant complained all the time. Even though the 60 years she was in business, the police were there every week. And in the 7 years I was in business, we had a happy, family-oriented restaurant. And so the way I look at it is a law firm will cause a lot less impact to that street and to the neighborhood than a dog boarding facility might. So I'm in a bit of I don't know what to do. I understand that we have laws and zoning laws because we want to make the community better, but unless we just want to be a place where there's no business, we have to be more business friendly. And so I'm asking you that I will at another time come ask you to consider spot zoning so that I can have a little more latitude.
So just to follow up, and other board members may want to as well, but just a couple of quick questions. The area is zoned residential, right?
Yes.
Yes. And the issue was that when you add, and Paula's Public House, the food's great, was great. The back patio, adding the back patio meant expanding the total number of seats. And the septic,
Right.
the septic needs replacement is
Actually,
the problem. It's an
none
old
of
septic
that-
system, is that correct?
No, none of that's actually correct. When I bought the building, there was always a back patio that was used for over 60 years. However, it was full of bottles and broken glass, and as you mentioned, broken glass, and I gussied it up. I put in pavers and made it pretty, and thought that by doing that, I would just do something nice, but apparently that was not correct, so I had to apply for a one-time expansion of 25%. We explained that it was a May through October usage, but when the septic system that is pumped every 3 months and never failed was brought up because the Board of Health got involved, I was told that I couldn't put seating outside, though I promised I wouldn't have seating inside, and it became very confusing. Our septic system is perfectly sufficient, but since the Board of Health said it wasn't, I then said, well, then can we put up
Porta potties.
porta potties? And I was denied, no matter how many times I asked. And
that was a ruling by the County Board of Health, right?
Right, the Board of Health has to do with all the septic. We have nothing to do with
Right,
the
the Board of
septic
Health,
system.
but the Board of Health never seemed to have a problem with it until I changed the use from a tavern to a restaurant, even though there was absolutely no use change whatsoever. None. We just changed the name.
So that's a Board of Health, County Board of Health
Right.
issue.
I put no blame on this board or this town for that. I just now figure that since may no longer open it, I would like to sell it. And I'm coming across these, you can't sell it to a lawyer. I can't sell it except to a daycare center, a church, and I think a couple of others.
So you might need to go through a rezoning process.
Right, which my attorney, Pat Moore, told me will be extremely long and extremely expensive. That's what I'm told.
That's what you would have to talk to Mike about.
Right, and I was told that.
And it could be, usually a rezoning, they'd set the date for a public hearing, and it has to be at least 30 days, because we have to hear from the county and from the planning board, which is why the doggy daycare one got adjourned, because we didn't get the planning board. But it could be done, I'm just throwing this out there, because I don't know.
Yeah,
But it could be done, like, maybe a set date on February 20, and this is just, thrown out there, because I don't know. I really don't know, but I know Mike was out today sick.
Right.
It could be done in a fairly quick manner. I mean, I wouldn't think that
the
it's
attorney-
impossible.
The attorney that wants to buy it, since he speaks legalese, I've already told him he should be the one that's sitting here doing this, not me. But he said, well, then why don't you go? I'll watch you on TV. So hi, Omer.
So typically, when a person has, and sorry for me being the one that says anything, but when somebody has something that they want to rezone, a lot of times they'll put together a sort of presentation, and they'll bring it to the board on Valentine's Day, just saying, or on a workshop meeting, but she wants to move quick, and that's the next one.
No, Valentine's Day is wonderful.
I know,
would love to be with you guys.
But you own a restaurant, so I'm just saying, but, you wouldn't maybe have to be the one, but,
Yeah.
Right, but it is zoned residential, and so then there's the process
There's
we
a
have to go
process
through.
they
We
have
can
to
try to
follow.
make that, we can try to expedite that and see what we can do to weigh the residential area and the pros and cons of keeping it residential with that, this one property has always been in a residential zone, but was grandfathered, right?
And Mike
Yeah,
is
it's a
in charge of,
non-conforming use.
and he's in
But,
charge
you
of
know-
planning, zoning, and building, and if he knew this presentation was taking place, he would be here and give his
yeah.
input and all
I
of
think the
that.
first step would be to go to talk with the folks about the zoning process,
Right,
the rezoning process.
I'm only here because I spoke to someone in the office in planning or zoning, and she told me that it might be good for me to come tonight.
Right, which
and
is
just
good.
bounce
Yeah.
us out.
Perfect, yeah.
So.
I mean, it was a good thing to do.
All right, and
So we're aware, thank you.
and I thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak, who's here in person? Yes, Fred.
I'm assuming it's okay to raise any issues?
You can speak about any issue
Okay.
that you would like to speak about. Could
First
you
of
tell us
all-
who you are? That would be great.
Okay, my name is Fred Bunnell, longtime resident of the town of Poughkeepsie. First question, can we have an update on the state of the search for a new location for the police station?
We can by next week. Next week at the workshop meeting, we are going to have reports from the new committees, and I think we're not quite ready yet, but by next week, we'll be able to report from each of the new committees that's getting underway.
Who is the head of the new committee?
The Police and Courts Committee is Ryan Sharp and Barbara Laird and myself.
Okay. Secondly, with regard to housing, I wondered if there's any action in looking at the situation of housing, especially the question of affordable housing in the town of Poughkeepsie. We're going to have an update on that subject at some point?
I don't think we have anything scheduled directly, but it's something that we've been in conversation about. I'll just speak for myself and say that I've been sort of watching at the state level. The governor has proposed a pro-housing communities program that has some benefits for communities. By our math, we would definitely qualify without doing anything, because we would need to have created 160 to maybe 200 units of housing in the past year, or about 600 units in the last 3 years. And there's no question that we have, because given the different housing that's been built around town, the question of whether that housing is affordable is an important one. right? But I don't think we don't have at this time a housing committee or a group that's talking about that. But it's a really pressing issue and maybe one we want to talk about more.
But we also have the Schatz property is going to be redeveloped, and there's going to be 200 apartments there that are going to be based on the income that you make.
Right. That's a
So
mixing.
that's coming on board probably within the next 5 years or so. I mean, they had to clean up the
Which project
Schatz
is
down
that?
on Fairview Avenue.
I'm sorry?
Schatz Bearing, the old Schatz Bearing Business Park.
Okay.
So that is coming online. I think the new owners take ownership of the property in March. And that's a combination between the town and Dutchess County. We had to put a stop order on the stop work, try to get the people out of there, victim, fire safety, whole 9 yards. We had a lot of fires down there. So we had to take a lot of steps. The police played a big role. Fairview Fire played a big role. And the county is, took it over, and the county is making us whole on the property at this point in time for the tax base. But that is coming online, and it will be owned by a private entity that will pay, they have IDA tax breaks, but they will be paying taxes to the town.
There's also a project underway in the planning board for Habitat for Humanity, which is a 5-unit project on Sunset that's coming through the pipeline as well.
Okay.
So
That'll be home to veterans too. So
Okay, quickly, broadly, collaboration. Do you already have established collaboration on several key issues like the water and sewer issue? And I give an example, the condition of the Caspikill Creek. If you go on the Vassar campus, you can see, crap, in the water. Anyway, I wondered what was being done on that subject broadly. And finally, as we all know, and I can remember, the issue is publicity. And more particularly, the fact that we all know that the local paper, so-called local paper, Poughkeepsie Journal, has about this much news about the town of Poughkeepsie in a week. I can remember, even much older than all of you, 20 years ago, I would sit here at meetings, and the local paper at that time, they always had a reporter here.
They did, even in my time.
They were scribbling articles, and they were printing articles. And now we don't have a damn thing. I know we have social media, and I know the town of Poughkeepsie, to its credit, has a newsletter and a website and so forth. But my question is, what can we do to promote greater publicity, broadly defined? And in that connection, one thought I had was that we could invite the Poughkeepsie Journal to send a reporter here, at least for each meeting, and promise to print at least maybe a page about what's going on in the town.
Fred?
Yeah.
The Poughkeepsie Journal has 3 employees left.
Yeah.
3 employees left. They're not going to do that.
Okay.
And also, we have the other problem too, where it's printed, because they move the printing further away.
They
so-
keep changing it.
Yeah,
And the
so-
deadlines to put ads in is getting worse and worse.
Yeah, and I mean, to the deadlines to get an article in was.
A legal notice, it's even crazy.
Yeah, but it's like by 5 o'clock, so
Yeah.
the paper already is put to bed before our meeting happens.
Okay,
So, and that's the problem, all the news
Yeah.
becomes old news and doesn't show up for 2 days.
I agree. Well,
so
that leads me to the obvious. We've got to find some alternative ways. And I think it's a modest effort, but is it the Southern Dutchess News? They're 2, and one of them is very one-sided and politically, but the other one is fairly good in terms of doing some balanced coverage. Not very much, but some.
Right.
And it even includes a little bit about Dutchess County. But anyway, there are a lot of potential opportunities. We have all these colleges around here. I think we could stimulate some projects to devise some new creative, innovative ways to get information out in sort of more traditional ways.
So Fred, I'm not timing, but I want to make sure we we're conscious of the timing, right?
I will stop.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I do have a couple, first of all, as much as I really like being an elected official, I definitely don't want the elected officials to be in charge of the news generally, right? But I do think that there are things that the town could do to better publicize town events, town cleanups, town, also, so we can work on that. We can try to improve through everything from a smartphone app to printed materials, the information that we're getting out to town residents about what's happening in the town. As far as the Casper Kill, I have been in conversation with Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett's office about brownfields remediation. The landfill that's north of the where the former Kmart was, and there's another landfill further north to that, are certainly key issues, and I think that we're working on seeing what we might be able to do in terms of brownfield remediation, which is one of the issues that's definitely impacting the Casper Kill. I don't know if there's other board members who want to respond as well. But.
I just want to say that sending out a special district notice that I have to do by law is expensive. So to send something to residents, I don't know the cost, it's really, it's like almost $5,000 for one sheet of paper. Wow. It's crazy.
Yep.
And so I don't know.
I think there are models like, the Poughkeepsie Library District sends out something 6 times a year.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
true. Something like that.
And I had half the price tag for that. So we might not want to send something 6 times a year, but I think we could have managed to send something 3 times a year, whatever, that's like that, that's got a lot of information in it. But we certainly can't as a newspaper, we can't as a town run a daily newspaper. We can't, we cannot fix that problem, which is a really serious one. The lack of local news, the collapse of local journalism is a serious issue.
And unfortunately, there's people that love the paper. My dad was a paper reader. Mm-hmm. I love to read the paper. Yep. But the younger people today, they are on that darn phone way too much.
Yeah.
And that's how they get their news. Like I see something on Facebook that I get the paper and I'm like, I know all this already. Because it was on Facebook 2 days ago. The journal is behind. So I don't know what the answer is.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
wanna
you.
say
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you
Raising
to all
important-
of you, and I really applaud the collaborative, bipartisan and beyond approach.
Thank you very much.
There's a R Swan or something.
Yeah, I think we have 2 people on Zoom.
Right. There's a RW Swan.
Yes, it's Rob Sanderson.
Okay, thanks.
RW San is
Okay.
just what my computer calls me.
Okay. Rob who?
Hi.
Sanderson?
Sanderson, yes.
Okay, good.
Hi. Good evening. Well, thank you. I just wanted to echo and support Fred's comment about, more public knowledge or public participation with what the town is doing, not negatively, but positively, so that that you guys have more input and more support. And one of the things that I mentioned to Rebecca a few months ago, and Fred alluded to the college, is that I think there would be a lot of value into just having a journalism internship program. I had an internship program with Marist, with my business, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the ideas that came from these younger adults were just amazing. And in one case, was critical in turning the tide to the cleanup of the Hudson River by GE, such as it happened. And that's not to mean that you have to endorse a certain kind of journalism, but, students can be very creative in creating a relationship with the general public. So that's just my thought on that. Otherwise, I just wanted to let you know that the Verizon Channel 38 broadcast was pretty wonky tonight. We usually watch, not only are we on Zoom, but we watch it on our big TV. And it got to the point where the broadcast was completely interrupted and replaced by the January zoning board meeting, which is still going on. So I just want to let you know there was some problems with that feed. Whomever is handling it, you might want to just be aware of it.
Thank you very
Other than
much, and
that, thanks.
we'll look into that. Thanks.
Sure, and we look forward to being your Valentine's next week.
Great, thank you. I was going to make another pitch for an extended conversation about environmental issues and some others that I think we want to raise. Central Hudson's rate increase and some other things we'll be discussing next. For those who want to spend Valentine's Day, I think we do definitely need to bring chocolate so that there's chocolate for everybody who's coming. So
I second that motion.
okay, there will be chocolate. If you're on Zoom, we can't really provide chocolate, but if you're here at Town Hall, we will provide chocolate. Thank you very much. And I think Doreen had a hand up.
Yes, thank you. So I wanted to make a comment again about agenda item number 19. And Mike, you had said that part of the cost was, or maybe all of it, I'm not sure, but at least a portion of it was grant money.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if it's grant money, it's still taxpayer money. So just because it's funded by a grant doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't be getting the,
that is true.
called best bang for your buck.
Yep.
Just wanted to point that out.
Nope, that's agreed.
And then, okay, and then as far as the affordable housing conversation, yeah, I'd also like to point out that a lot of the new projects around that have gotten millions and millions of dollars in tax exemptions from the Dutchess County IDA, those are all for market rate apartments. So Eastdale got tens of millions of dollars in tax exemptions, and those are market rate apartments, and to me, expensive apartments. The Arthur May redevelopment project, that got, I think, about $16 million in tax exemptions from the IDA. And again, as far as I know, there is no, affordable housing component to that project either. So, I do have an issue with a lot of these projects getting IDA tax exemptions and not even having a, affordable housing component of the project. So I think that's a concern because not everyone can afford to pay thousands of dollars for an apartment each month. So I think that's really something that, that the town, anything you can do about that, if you give your approval to, projects that come, before the IDA that are looking for exemptions, I think that there should be some affordable housing component to everything, before you agree to it, so. All right, that's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. I do think that there needs to be a conversation about housing, and we'll figure out what form that conversation should take, whether maybe at next week's workshop meeting, if there's time, we could talk about that as well, about affordable housing issues. All right, here we go, because there's no rest for the weary. We need to be in executive session a little longer. So, a final resolution here is, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to discuss matters exempt under the open meetings law, including matters subject to the attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved that no action appropriating money will be taken during the executive session, but a resolution may be proposed on return to regular session. So we are going to go talk about one additional issue, and we may come back with a resolution as a result of that. So we are not quite adjourned. We will need
Well, you're adjourning
15, 20
into
minutes or so.
executive session
We are
at
adjourning into
8:24
executive session, right? But we're
PM.
not adjourning the meeting as a whole. We're
adjourning
adjourning for an
into-
unspecified amount of time, so.
At
all right?
8:24 PM.
Yes, at 8:24 PM. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Was that seven?
That was second. We needed a second vote on that.
Second.
Sorry.
Second.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna go in executive session.
I don't know what that means. We never stay. But I forget. We don't usually stay. They used to come back in. I don't know. Mike, what did you guys used to do when you would come out of executive session?
Nobody has to stay, we just come back and just close it out. We just turn it off when we're done.
You should, but is the video?